You guys remember this, right? It went pretty viral. So it beat the Porsche while towing a Porsche. Right? Like that was the whole thing. Like, and people freaked out over it. And all that. But supposedly Tesla lied.
You can say whatever you want on the internet, and even if it isn't true, some people will believe it. That's
Is this
why,
Mark
as
Rober?
a 6'6", 250-pound man capable of bench pressing twice my body weight, I feel the need to call out nonsense when I see it.
That's
The
Mark
latest
Rober,
example,
man.
Tesla showcased their Cybertruck towing a Porsche 911 while beating up Porsche 911 in a drag race. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, wow, this is a genuinely clever and well-executed marketing stunt.
That's what I thought.
Showcases the potent
I was like,
acceleration
wow,
of EVs that the world
that thing
of
can
combustion
giddy up
engine
and
struggles to
go.
match. But then I heard rumors it didn't actually complete a quarter mile in the drag race. Instead, it only completed the 8th mile. This was easily verifiable watching the video, because you can see in the split view that when the Cybertruck crosses the finish line, it's only halfway to the timing boards, which mark the end of the quarter mile. Now, when it comes to drag racing, the quarter mile is the most important metric. It's why Tesla provides the quarter mile time at the end of the drag race video for the Cybertruck. And yeah, it's misleading to show this immediately after watching an 8th mile race, without informing the viewers. But it's not like Tesla is saying it can tow a Porsche 911 across the quarter mile faster than the Porsche 911 can go by itself.
It can tow a Porsche 911
He said
across
it.
a quarter mile faster than the Porsche 911 can go by itself.
He said it.
Say what?
Faster than a 911 while towing a 911.
Okay, so two statements that definitely seem like blatant lies back to back. We'll ignore the pedantic definition of the word faster. The Cybertruck has a top speed of 130 miles per hour. The Porsche 911's top speed is 181 miles per hour. There is no world where stock to stock the Cybertruck is faster, as in higher top speed. Yet they even show on the screen faster than a 911, which again is
Well, that's not what they mean by that.
objectively not true. Now, did I just say I wouldn't get pedantic and then suddenly get very pedantic? Yes. Yes, I did. Do you see how annoying that? But what about the quarter mile statement? Now, perhaps an obvious rhetorical question, but if...
Did I miss something there?
Now, did I just say I wouldn't get pedantic and then suddenly get very pedantic? Yes. Yes, I did. Do you see how annoying that? But what about the quarter mile?
It just gets right to more facts. Like, what is this editing? I like it though.
Statement. Now, perhaps an obvious rhetorical question, but if the Cybertruck actually was quicker in the quarter mile while towing, why would they end the race at the 8th mile in the video? Now, that's of course the easy way out, and this is Engineering Explained, where we use math to find definitive answers to questions that nobody really cares about. So, let's determine which vehicle would actually be quicker in the quarter mile. Now, before we do the math, we need to be absolutely certain that the cars are running an 8th mile and not the quarter mile. So, very quickly, you can see there are bleachers when the vehicles cross the finish line.
Yes.
Then we get an overhead view, and you can see that that finish line is across from where the bleachers end,
Yes.
which marks the halfway point of the track. You can see the timing boards are all the way in the back, where the quarter mile ends, and there are no bleachers at this point. Clearly, the finish line was at the 8th mile. But
Right.
if that's not good enough, you can go on Google Maps for Sacramento Raceway Park and measure the distance from the starting line to the line across from the...
Okay, we get it. It's only an 8th mile that they showed. Show us the rest.
bleachers, which turns out to be 660 feet or an 8th mile. And if you measure to the timing boards, you get 1,320 feet or a quarter mile. So we have positively confirmed the video shows them finishing the race
Yes.
at the 8th mile line. Okay,
Yes,
so
we get it. We get it. Just show us why they lied.
ultimately what we're trying to figure out is a Cybertruck towing a Porsche 911 quicker in the quarter mile than a Porsche 911 doing it all by itself?
Chat. It's easy. It had more horses. You had Cybertruck plus Porsche pushing or pulling, whichever way you want to say it, versus just the 911. Of course, the 2 is better than 1. Ugh, everyone knows.
So we have a lot of unknowns here, as you can see. So let's establish what we do know. Well,
All right, this is what we're gonna do. The 8th mile acceleration divided by the distance and time.
we do know that a Tesla Cybertruck by itself can complete the quarter mile in 11 seconds dead at 119 miles per hour, as verified by Jason Camisa, who took one on the drag strip. Okay, so how quick is the 911 by itself? All right, so Car and Driver tested the current generation base Porsche 911, which did the quarter mile in 11.5 seconds at 120 miles per hour. So you can see that's not a very big gap, and it seems highly unlikely that a Tesla towing another vehicle would do better than 11.5. However, we
Watch it do like 11.4 and everyone just like, show the 8 mile or 8th mile.
don't know exactly which Porsche 911 Tesla was testing against. We do know that there is a slower Porsche 911 out there, the 911T, and the reason why it's slower is because it has a manual transmission offered. So both Car and Driver and Motor Trend have both tested the 2023 Porsche 911 Carrera T, and that vehicle has a quarter mile time of 12.2 seconds at 116 miles per hour. Again, slower because it's using a manual transmission rather than Porsche's very quick dual clutch transmission. Now, hopefully this goes without saying, but I think it's important that we use third-party test results to understand what is the slowest possible quarter mile time for a current generation Porsche 911.
All right, let's see here. What am I looking at? The 7-speed manual transmission. Yep. That's slower.
Which, according to Motor Trend and Car and Driver, is 12.2 seconds. So that's the target to beat for the Tesla Cybertruck towing a 911. All right, so we've established our baseline. And
All right, guys. What is the speed? What do you guys think the speed is with the 911 getting pulled on the Cybertruck? Anyone? Anyone? What do we think? Do you think it's going to beat the vanilla 911, or do you think it just beats that manual 911?
And now we're trying to figure out how long does the Tesla towing the 911 take to complete the quarter mile. Now, we don't know this because they don't show the full clip of it completing a quarter mile. However, they do show a full, uninterrupted clip of it completing the 8th mile, so we can get this information. So if we start the clock at the very first frame before the stage light goes out, which indicates when the drag strip timing begins, and end the clock when the Cybertruck first touches the finish line, you get 8.25 seconds. This comes
That's
from
pretty
counting
quick.
frames, or the number of images that make up the video. So in this case, we have 198 frames to complete the quarter mile at a frame rate of 24 frames per second. 198 divided by 24, that gives you 8.25 seconds. Now, if you do the same thing for the 911, the stage light actually goes out 1 frame later. However, it takes 4 more frames.
He's gonna figure it out by the 911 speed. No, that's not right.
Across the finish line, and so you have a total of 201 frames at 24 frames per second, giving you a time of 8.38. Okay, so how quickly can this Cybertruck by itself run the 8th mile? Well, once again, thanks to Jason Camisa, we have this number. So
Dude, this Jason Camisa guy Test drives a lot.
Average of 2 runs running in opposite directions, the Cybertruck completes the 8th mile in 6.94 seconds at 99 miles per hour.
That's pretty good.
So if the Cybertruck
that, the 8
towing
mile?
a 911
8th mile?
completes the 8th mile in 8.25 seconds, and a Cybertruck on its own completes that 8th mile in 6.94 seconds, well, that means we need an additional 1.31 seconds to complete that 8th mile while towing. What does
Right.
that mean? Well, it means at an absolute minimum, we have to add 1.31 seconds to our Cybertruck's quarter mile time of 11.
Okay, hang on. We need to add at minimum that to the end time. But what about all the other speed? Like, how do we get that?
11 seconds. In other words, 11
Or the rest of the track, the other half.
plus 1.31, that gives us 12.3 seconds. Absolute best case, again.
Oh. So it can't beat the Porsche because best case it's going to run it in 12.3 seconds because it took it that much longer. Now I'm kind of confused here. That's strange to me. How fast was it going when it was pulling the truck then? Did we figure that out? I don't think we know the top speed. That's the issue. Or that's my issue right now. Yeah, we don't have that miles per hour yet. I think he's getting to it.
Against the 911, which can do it in 12.2 seconds. Boom! It cannot win. It cannot win in this race. Realistically, that's all you need to know. It cannot beat the slowest current gen 911 while towing a 911 in the quarter mile.
They did
Yet
lie.
again, I'm not quite satisfied. To get a more accurate answer, let's figure out how quickly the Cybertruck is going when
This
it
is crazy.
crosses the 8th mile mark. All right, so we're trying to figure out the Cybertruck's velocity. Velocity is equal to distance
right.
divided by time. In this
This is
case,
just
for
the 8th
distance,
mile.
we're going to use the entire vehicle with the Cybertruck towing the 911. And
right.
for time, we'll say how long does it take this entire length of vehicle to cross the finish line. So the Cybertruck itself is about 224 inches. Between the Cybertruck and the Porsche 911 looks to be a little bit bigger than one wheel of the Cybertruck. The wheels of the Cybertruck about 3 feet. So let's call that gap 4 feet.
Okay.
And then we have the length of the 911, which is 178 inches about. So you add that all up, you've got 450 inches divided by 12. That gives you a distance of 37.5 feet. Okay, so how much time does it take the entire vehicle to cross the finish line?
I'm gonna say
so
a
if you
second and a
start
half.
with the frame
No,
just
I'm gonna
before
say
it touches the
0.8.
finish line, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames, and you can see the back of the Porsche is just over the start of the finish line. So in 7 frames, or 7/24ths of a second, we traveled the full length of the towing vehicle. All right, so 37.5 feet divided by 7/24ths of a second gives us about 128.6 feet per second, or about 88 miles per hour. So in the 8th mile, the Cybertruck towing the 911 does it at 8.25 at about 88 miles per hour. So now we can get a better estimate for the remaining time to complete that final 8th mile. Okay, so you can see there's an 11 mile per hour gap between the Cybertruck on its own and the Cybertruck towing a 911. So let's be generous and say that it can maintain this 11 mile per hour gap for the remainder of the quarter mile. So we're going to be going from 88 miles per hour to the final speed of 119 minus 11. That gives us 108. In other words, an average speed across that 8th mile of.
Now, which one is this? Is this with the towing? This is with the towing, right? That's That's pretty quick.
98 miles per hour. If we want to figure out time, we just take distance divided by velocity. So we have 0.125, 1/8 of a mile, divided by 98 miles per hour. Multiply that by 3,600 seconds in an hour, and that gives us a total time for that remaining eighth mile of 4.59 seconds. So if we
Get
add
outta here.
4.59 to 8.25, well, we get a realistic quarter mile time of around 12.84
Whoa,
seconds.
that
at
didn't
about
even come
108 miles
close.
per hour. Again, quite a gap between that and a Porsche 911. So as you can see, it will be
They didn't even come close. The closest, like, that's like, you know, a whole car. Like, 2 whole cars behind.
slower while towing a 911 in the quarter mile. All right, so a couple very important concluding remarks. To me, all Porsche 911s look pretty much the same. I don't know exactly which one Tesla used in the video. Elon describes it as follows.
And I should say this is an actual Porsche. We literally just got it from the dealer. 2023 Porsche 911.
That man's
If
a
I had to
liar.
guess, I would guess that it's the Carrera T, because that's the slowest 911 and it's also the lightest 911. So that would give the towing Tesla as much of an advantage as possible. One indication to me is that you can see a very noticeable lurch when the Porsche seemingly changes gears. You can see the whole car heaves forward briefly, something you wouldn't expect to see if it was a dual clutch Porsche, because even during a gear shift, these dual clutch transmissions maintain positive torque, meaning very little, if any, visual indication of lurching. The base 911 does not offer a manual, and it's quicker, which is what leads me to believe that it's the 911T. Okay, the second point, what the
911T.
Cybertruck achieved here is still
In the
bonkers.
green.
The fact that it can put down a quarter mile in the high 12s or low 13s while towing a Porsche 911 is nuts and hilarious to watch.
It is crazy.
This is another case where the engineering of the vehicle alone was absolutely enough for the Cybertruck to deserve some hype. So why muddy this achievement with a marketing stunt that's difficult to interpret? Put plainly, how this was presented during the Cybertruck reveal was misleading. Now, maybe
They
he
lied.
simply misspoke, but if that's the case, it only seems fair to me to apologize to Porsche for misrepresenting the true gap in pace. There's definitely interesting engineering to talk about with this vehicle, so expect those videos in the future. And if for some reason you're upset that I'm singling out Tesla here,
No,
I have
man.
great news.
Thank you.
You can check out my video on how the Ford Lightning can't realistically tow 1 million pounds.
No, you're good, dude. I was just so confused. I was I was like, dude, like now I look stupid, you know, because of Tesla. I look stupid because I told everyone about that. Makes me look like I fell for something. Feels bad. I feel bad. Not very good. But yeah, another lie out there in the universe. When does it end? When does it end?